And he goes, why? I go, because at his wedding, you're gonna be his best man. Because at the end of the day, you two have each other's backs more than anybody. That's how it has to be. And I'm really trying to instill, in him that to understand, like, hey, nobody comes between you guys. Not friends, not chicks. You two have to ride for each other more than anything else.
Yeah.
You know? And so,
Yeah.
and sitting there talking to him, and he's just like, yeah, but this guy's my best friend. I go, yeah, but he's not your brother. I go, he could be a groomsman. That's fine. He could be a groomsman. Like he could set up your bachelor party, but the person that hands you that ring when you get married is your brother, because you're gonna have to go up and at the same time show him the way of how marriage works, but also too, like when your other brother gets married, that you watch over his marriage and you're able to get him out of, and give him advice to get him out of a jam, because that's what brothers are for. So I really
Yeah.
push hard on getting on having those two understand that.
How
So,
often do they?
but
Is that the only time they get to see each other when they're with you?
yep, it's during the summer, yeah. But they're 14, and the oldest is 18, youngest is 14. So the younger one adores the older one. The older one
Mhm.
says jump, he says how high. He
Okay.
wants to he wants to know that he's, like, he doesn't care about anybody else's opinion. If his brother thinks it's cool, it's the best thing in the world.
Okay. So they
So
they close there.
yeah,
Yeah.
so he's like,
Yeah.
so the younger one. He's like, like, he'll come up here and he'll be like, oh, I did this, this, and this, you know.
Mhm.
And if I can approve it, if his brother don't think it's cool, he don't want to rock with it, you know.
That's a good bond to have, man. That's a real
Yeah,
good bond to have.
yeah.
Especially
I try.
it's important amongst brothers, no doubt, man. I got three boys myself, and
Mm-hmm.
all of them they're under three. It's three under three.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a
Oh,
3 year old, I got a 2 year old, and I got a 2 month old.
yeah. Listen,
So
stick
yeah,
you stick stick. You wasn't playing.
nah, nah. I mean, I
Listen,
started late.
listen.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You know,
okay, all right, all right.
I'm
Like
40,
like
I'm
we call,
43. So
okay. We
mhm.
call Fred the assassin, but you might be close behind.
Hey man, look,
You know.
I had to get it in, brother. I had to get
Yeah,
it
I
in
feel
for
I
sure,
feel you. I feel you, man. But it's
for
good.
sure.
But the best thing is that you had them back to back to back.
Yeah.
So they gonna grow up together. They gonna bump heads together.
Hmm.
You gonna be bringing up a
Hmm.
lot of fights. And the
Yeah.
best thing about that too is that their friend circles are going to be very, very similar.
Right. And that
You
was
know.
key. A lot of the discussions that my wife and I had before we had kids.
Hmm.
It was just like we wanted to have a time that was a
Hmm.
breeding time.
Yeah.
We sat
Yep.
down and these kids, because the world that we live in now, man, you gotta have somebody, that you can talk
Yeah.
to, somebody that you can kick it
Yep.
with, and
You're
and
right
and
about
like you
that.
saying with like yeah, like you saying with your boys, like who's better to have other than a brother, somebody that got the
Exactly.
same blood circulating in their veins. So
Hmm. Yep.
so yeah, no
Yeah.
doubt, man. I mean, yeah, I feel that 100%.
I think the one thing too is, like, I got two younger brothers, and as the oldest, I always feel like I have to protect them. If I don't have if I rather not have it and give it to them than them go without. And that's the
Hmm.
way I've always been with them. Like
Right.
like they'll call me, be like, "Yo, my kid, what's going on, man? How's everything?" Yeah, well, like, I had to do this, and this, and then, I'm short, so I gotta do extra hours at work, and I'm like, you know what? Like, all right, here, take, like, he won't even ask. I just send him $100. Like, yo, why you send me this for? Because at the end, because you needed more than I do. I gotta make sure you're all right. If you good, then I'm all
Hmm.
right.
And that's love,
You know,
man. That's
you
love.
know,
That's love every day of the week, man. For
So,
real, especially among brothers, man.
uh huh. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got brothers and sisters stick.
Yeah, I got an older brother and I got a younger
Mm,
sister.
right.
We're yeah, me and my older brother, we're 13 years apart, and me and my
Oh
sister,
wow.
we're 10 years apart.
Oh
Yeah,
oh damn.
yeah.
That's
So we
crazy.
got we gapped. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we gapped pretty deep, man. But
Well,
yeah,
you
it's
get
all
no
love though, man.
the thing too is that like your older brother kind of becomes like kind of becomes like extra pops at times, because he's so much older. When you 14, he's 26, so you probably feel like you can run
Yeah,
to him about more stuff than you can your mom or your dad. So so
yeah,
so you, so, so you feel more comfortable breaking stuff down with him. Like, yo, oh man, at school, you don't understand, man. It's this girl that I'm really feeling at school, and he
yeah.
could break it
Anytime,
down to you.
yeah,
Now
yeah.
go ahead, go ahead, go
And
ahead.
and then too, I mean, we always could have those conversations, and
Uh huh.
then I had, what I'm saying, a cousin that was closer, that's closer in range in age
Mm
with me.
hmm.
Like a lot of times, you know what I mean. Like my brother's big in sports. Like he went, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
all the way to semi pros or whatever. So
Wow.
he was playing a lot. So my cousin often filled in that gap. We had a lot of similar
Yeah.
situations, where we because we were closer in age. But
Mm.
my brother, yeah, yeah. I mean, as I got older, you know what I mean. We became our bond became even tighter
You see, even tell, yeah,
because yeah, because of that gap. As we became grown men, we were able to understand each other better. You know,
exactly.
yeah,
And you understood where he's coming from.
hmm,
He was
absolutely,
he
man.
like when he came down, he like, yo, man, ain't listen, stop running around. Ain't nothing good out here for you, man. Stop running around. Stop running around. You like, man, whatever, man. You been there, done that, man. Like,
Yeah, yep.
like,
Especially being in that sports world,
yeah,
you already
exactly.
know.
Uh huh.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What you
What do you?
smoking on?
I'm smoking on a JC Newman,
Okay,
Connecticut.
I'm smoking on a GTO anesthesia.
Ooh, nice, nice. It's crazy because I picked this boy up, and I'm like, you know what? I need another cigar. I end up picking up another JC Newman cigar.
Yeah, Angel.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
this one right here. That
Yeah,
ain't man. That's a motherfucker right there.
yeah.
That cigar right there.
That's beautiful work right there. That Angel. Both of
Yo,
them.
man.
Yeah,
Listen, that angel speak to me every man. Whisper in my ear every time I smoke it. Whisper in my ear.
yeah.
You
No
know.
doubt, man.
But you know what, man?
No
Enough
doubt.
about me and my knucklehead kids. Let's get into who is the stick guy. How the channel become? How'd you start the channel? First off, let's start off right. I
Yeah,
told you guys
yeah.
just
No
Justin
doubt.
was going Justin was going to be on a podcast. The stick guy Justin is here. Also a fellow Avenger, my brother.
For sure.
So
For
let's
sure.
start off. Let's start off to where the cigar journey begins. When was your first cigar?
Okay. My first premium cigar was 2010. It was a Brick House Maduro.
Okay.
That right there, I think they probably had been out. Either they came out that year or they had been out probably a year. No
Mm,
longer than that, or couldn't have been, because when the guy gave it to me, it was kind of like, yo, you got to try this. I just got these in. And
mm.
I came from the black and mild world, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But
Yeah.
it was weird because like I came into the game with the nuances. Like that's what
Mm,
turned me on to cigars, being around, older relatives and things like that, and they smoke pipes and the sweet smells of
yeah.
the pipe tobaccos, that vanilla and all that. I always
Okay.
loved that. You know what I mean? Just that
Mm-hmm.
that aroma, you know what I mean? The aromatics of it, man. And ended up trying to find that, took a couple avenues, never smoked cigarettes. I hated
Yeah.
them. But Black and Miles was, before I even found out about premium cigars. And that was the
Mm,
closest thing to that vanilla smell. And then I
yeah.
found out,
Mm-hmm.
like, once you start smoking these, you can't smell that smell anymore. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was the weirdest shit. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Exactly.
yeah, I thought that was the weirdest shit, man. And then so I was like, okay, this ain't nothing that I'm gonna hang with for a super long time, man. I gotta, have me something that's more laid back, more chill. And so then that
Mm-hmm.
Breakhouse Maduro dropped in my lap, and the journey started there, man. It was occasional at that
Mm-hmm.
point, and the actual love, I would say, and the interest developed around 2017. So around 2017, the interest peaked because I took a trip out to DR.
Mm.
And when I went to DR, for the first time I met a torsador. You know what I mean? I
Mm.
saw that actual cigar get rolled. I saw, you
Yeah.
know what I mean, the aging rooms. I
The,
got to see a feel. I got to see the process, and I was like, damn, it's a lot more to this than what I
just in
mean, what I
just
know.
smoke. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of when the interest peaked into the nerdy side of it for me. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? Before that, it was all relaxation and therapy, which it still is. That's still the
Yep.
main goal. But that's when the education side of it kind of peaked into me. And as I said, I was in DR, so I always been like a traveler. You know what I mean? I always loved
Yeah.
travel. And so that kind of leads to the name. And a lot of people have came, you know what I mean, just fucked it all up, right? I was
Mm.
just the other night, right? I
Mm-hmm.
chimed in on these guys' podcast, and I ain't gonna call no names. And he saw my name, he was like, Stick God Travels. Oh, he said that's a big persona. You got anything else that I can call you? And I'm thinking to myself,
Well,
God damn, you ain't gonna even ask what the name mean? I'm like, because
exactly.
obviously, okay, yeah, obviously you thinking that, okay, I'm like the god. I think I'm the god of cigars or some shit like that or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. I'm like,
Exactly.
damn. So yeah, he was like, yeah, just give me something else to call you. And I'm like, nah, motherfucker, you can just call me what you call me. You know what I mean? My friends call me
Exactly.
Justin, but I ain't telling you that. You can call me Stick
Exactly.
since you feel that way.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it was tripping. You know what I mean? That's like a motherfucker being like, yo, your name innocent. I don't know, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You look guilty to me, bro. I mean, can
Mm-hmm.
I call you something else? Like, what the fuck? Hey, come on, man.
Exactly.
At least you know. But yeah, so that led to how I got the name. So you got Stick God Travels.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Stick, of course, means cigars.
Cigar.
Yeah, travel is travel. And to me, God means love.
Yep.
I
Mm-hmm.
love, yeah, I love cigars and travel. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how the name came about. Stick God
You see,
Travels, the love of
you see,
cigars and travel.
I'm from the Northeast, so when I hear
Yeah.
God, I'm always thinking of 5%er. Like, yo, what's up, God?
Okay. Yeah.
Yo,
Yeah.
what's up,
Yeah.
God?
Yeah.
You know?
And I mean,
Yeah,
cool. That's cool. That's cool. I mean,
yeah.
the education part
Like,
of it
cause,
is tied
well,
into it.
yeah, but the thing is, like when you because up here, like we call somebody God, that's a word of love. But like you said, it's
Hmm.
love. Cause we like, yo, what's up,
Thank you.
God? It's like, yo, what's
Thank
up,
you.
God? What's going on? Like, peace, God.
So yeah,
You know.
that's how. Yeah, that's that. Yeah, no
So
doubt,
so
bro.
so you speak of travel. So where have you been? Like across the globe, what countries have you been to?
So my journey got started with DR. I've been there
Mm-hmm.
several times. Been to Mexico a few times, and I got been all over the United States working because that
Okay.
that was as a tradesman. That's what
Yeah.
I did. I moved around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but as far as countries, so the travel portion of that got kind of put on hold once I started having babies.
Yeah. Exactly.
So
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
so yeah, that's kind of how the cigar side of the channel. Because really, if you look like back toward the beginning of the channel, you'll see travel
Mm-hmm.
videos on there as well.
Yeah.
So it
Okay.
was meant to be a half and half thing. The travel was the
Exactly.
back
Yeah.
half of the channel, and
With the cigars.
mixing in the
Yeah.
cigars and everything. Yeah. So the idea of it is smoking cigars in these places when I go to these places, you know, meeting people in
Mm-hmm.
these regions and different places like that. But it kind of turned more to the reviews because I wanted to continue to educate and I had to, you know, take time to sit down and be a husband and a father. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I've been these last couple of years with it. So yeah, I got some other stuff on the radar coming up
Yeah.
soon. You know what I mean? I love, you know, Latin American countries, but I plan on doing
Yeah.
some Europe stuff too, Amsterdam, places like that. But right now, it's just being a father and a husband, man, and pushing these
Listen, man,
reviews
that's
out.
it.
So
Listen,
that's where it's
being a
at.
father and a husband is top priority.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
listen, you know, like those places will always be there.
yeah,
You
no
know, that they
doubt, man.
well,
And then I
you
had to
know,
realize that.
you know, I know I know World War III is going about to go down, but they'll still be there. They'll still be
Yeah,
there
that's
after.
crazy.
You know, it is
Hopefully,
crazy, man. You know, my this is my 2 cents on it. We shouldn't be involved in it. Like
nah, I
we
don't
don't
think so
like
either.
we don't because God forbid they send a nuke and it hit New York City. That right
Yeah.
there in itself, that right there in itself will cause World War III because you're not just bombing Americans. Everybody in the world
Hmm.
goes there.
That's the hub. That's the
That's the
hub.
hub
Yeah,
because
majority of the people that come in that you know, most of them that I talk to, especially being down in Atlanta, they came in through New York. No matter whether they're Jamaican,
hmm
Dominican, Puerto Rican, you know, it don't matter. Like most of them, they got some kind of ties to New York.
well here's the funny thing about that is New York is one of the only places that you can go to and never learn English. No matter where you come from, there is a part there is a part of New York City that speaks that language. So
Yeah.
if you're Russian, you go to Bay Ridge, Brooklyn.
Mhm.
If you're Chinese, you go to Chinatown. You can go to Bay Ridge. You can go to Bay Ridge. You go to Bay Ridge, Brooklyn too, because it's a big Russian Chinese area down there. If you speak Korean, we got Korean Town. If you're Japanese, this is one place where you never have to learn English because everybody's here.
Mhm.
And and that's kind of one of the reasons why most people when they come to the US, if you live in New York City, is why need to learn English for? Everything I need to do is right here. Everything I
Yeah.
need to do is right here in my little community.
Mhm.
You know, you go if you from DR, you can go anywhere in the Bronx, anywhere uptown,
Mhm.
because and if you uptown, you feel like you in DR because ain't nothing but Dominicans up there. You know,
Yeah.
like if you from Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico's everywhere in the Bronx, Washington Heights, and then you got Spanish Harlem.
Yeah. I can
No
dig it.
matter
So
where
it's like you at home, no matter how you move,
no
you
matter
gonna be
how
able to
you
find a little.
move,
You gonna be able to find a little piece of home.
you'll be able to find home and cooking
Yeah.
that tastes just like home. You know,
Yeah. That's a beautiful thing, man.
yeah,
That's a beautiful
and
thing. But you know, I
and
hope,
all
you know,
go for it, sir.
I hope, man,
No,
that
sorry.
you know it don't it don't escalate out of control like that, man. Because you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I'm like you. I feel like you know this shit ain't benefiting Americans. So like, what's the
at
point?
all. What's the point?
I'm like, you know, the whole point of you having office and all this other shit is you need to be doing what benefits us as taxpaying
Mm-hmm.
citizens, as Americans, whatever.
Exactly.
That shit ain't got nothing to do with us, bro.
At
You
all.
know,
You know what
fuck,
the
fuck
the funny
influence
thing
in
about
other countries and all that. Fuck all that.
mm-hmm.
You know, if it ain't got nothing to do
Exactly.
with the people that's funding this shit, then hey, nah, man. You know, that's just
And
that's my take on
and Trump gave one and said, I mean not Trump, Putin said the US do not get involved.
it. Hmm.
Because if you get involved, we getting involved. What's up, Texas? OKC, man. Fuck them Pacers.
OKC.
OKC, man, especially at home. They should not lose at home.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fuck
man.
Larry Bird.
Yeah, for real, for real, for real. Yeah, man. So so when you started reviewing, like, what
uh,
influenced you to start making cigar reviews? Like, who did you watch before you started making your own content?
so before I started making my own content, it was for me. I would talk my wife's head off about a cigar.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She is my biggest influencer. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Shout out to
That's
her
yeah.
because
Shout
she
out to
was like,
wifey.
yeah, for sure. Because she told me one day she was like, you talk all about cigars and all this shit, and you seem pretty knowledgeable about it. You ain't never thought
Yeah.
about just talking in front of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, I never really thought about it like that. Let's see. And I tried it. You know what I mean? I went and looked, and one of the first guys that I saw was Brian from Cigar Obsession.
Okay.
And, you know, as I told Keelan several times before, man, he was the first guy that I saw that looked like me doing it. You know what
Yeah.
I
Yep.
mean? And I was just
Yes,
like,
sir.
yeah, that was wild, man. So yeah, Keelan, um, definitely it's Brian from Cigar Obsession, um, Tim back before the Cigars Daily thing. And yeah, man. I mean, that's pretty much it, man. I kind of seen that and kind of took off. And I that was and I credit a lot of people too for like structuring and seeing how things were going. Cigar Hound Dog, he had
Mm-hmm.
a beautiful setup the way he did this thing. Shout out to him, man. I liked how he done things as far as like giving the education side of it. So you know what I mean. Him and Keelan, they were big influences on me in modern day, most definitely. You know, and as
Mm.
far as you know, Keelan kind of put me on Fred because I think when I started,
Mm.
I don't think Fred was doing it. No, I don't think Fred was doing it when I started. I think he had stopped, so I didn't find out about him until later on. You know,
Mm.
and but yeah, man, those guys, man. I used to watch their stuff faithfully, still do. You know what I mean? And yeah,
Yeah,
big influences, man. And
man. Man, like me and you, me like well, I've been doing the. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Like you know how like
no, 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 you good?
I just
No,
get
you
like
good?
so I had a similar journey. So cigar obsession, of course. I found Lee Mack, I found Tim. My first people I found was TNT
Yeah.
cigars.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Those were the first like TNT cigars. That's how I learned how to smoke a cigar. Like Tim
Mm-hmm.
was giving instructions on how to properly smoke a cigar. So like because it was open, so I had like a month before I could even buy my first cigar. And my problem is when I want something, I want it now.
There you
You
go.
know, like
Yeah.
like I'm a huge fragrance guy. If I go upstairs to my house, I got maybe 90 bottles of fragrance in my house. Way too fucking many.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I'll watch these reviewers and they'll go, "Oh," and and I only like for me like I can't go and spend $400 on an actual bottle of Creed Aventus. So they'll go, all right, well, what's a good clone of it? They go, well, oh, well, this one smells like Initio side effect. This one smells like
Yeah.
like Baccarat 504. This one
Okay.
smells like Creed Aventus. This one smells like YSL Y. You know, like
Okay.
like if you buy Unforgivable smells
Mm-hmm.
just like Millicine Imperial by Creed.
That Creed. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so so it's just getting that knowledge. But I can and one thing too is like once I spray that scent on a
Mm-hmm.
slab and I go like this, I can go okay right away. Like same thing with a cigar. my nose, my head goes right into note breakdown. Okay, I got patchouli, I
Mm-hmm.
got this, I got that. You know, then I'll give it those
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes. All right, on the dry down. I'm like, all right, well, this is pretty good. It's pretty interesting. You know, this let me let,
Yeah,
let me let me let me go online and see if I can find a clone of it. You know, because
for sure.
like bond number nine, like bond number nine will cost you $400 a bottle.
Yeah,
You know, but
easy.
bond
Bleecker
easy.
Street, all that shit.
Oh
Yeah,
man, and
yeah,
Bleecker Street, and you know that's no joke right there. Bleecker Street is
yeah,
man. You
for
spray two,
sure.
two sprays of that, and everybody's like, "Damn, what is that you got on?" You know,
Yeah,
like I recently found the clone of that, and I've got more compliments off of that Bleecker Street than mostly everything I got.
yeah. And
That
I'm
Bleecker
pretty
Street is
sure
no.
where you at, you can probably get it. If you dig deep enough, you can probably get them for, you know,
Mm-hmm.
pretty good price there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
you dig deep enough, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, because
Hmm.
we got discount places up here, but you know,
Yeah,
but even on discount, that's still $200 right there. So
true, true.
um, Joe Milano has a or it's not Joe. I think it's Joe Milano. He has a clone. It's called Ace of Spades,
Hmm.
and I tell you, it's 90%, maybe even 95%. It smells just like Bleecker Street. I got Bleecker Street and I got Lafayette. Smell and
Damn.
it's like $75 a bottle.
Yeah.
No, $60 a bottle. Yeah.
And see that, yeah. As long as it's got that, you gotta
Mm,
have the Eau de Parfum
oh yeah.
last though.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't want no
Yo, it
shit I'm gonna
lasts.
spray on
Nah,
me.
it lasts.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing
And then
too. It lasts.
and then by the
That's
time
the
I get
crazy.
where I'm going is,
Mm.
yeah,
So I would say this
yeah, no
about
doubt.
the craziest thing about the fragrance world is the fact that you cannot patent a fragrance. So
That's
Creed
crazy.
Aventus, you can't patent it. So anybody can copy that DNA.
So they can only patent the name.
Patent the name. They cannot
Yeah, patent
patent
the fragrance.
the fragrance itself.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's why. So the only thing you can patent the name and the bottle.
Hmm.
So if your bottle is very similar to that, they can come after you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like so
Okay.
like
That
my
makes
first
sense then.
yeah, my first ever channel was a fragrance channel.
Really?
Yeah, my first ever channel was a fragrance channel.
Do you still do it?
Not anymore. I should go back to doing it, man. Because man, I like fragrance is one is I love fragrance as much as I love cigars.
Yeah, man.
You know,
Absolutely.
like
Man, that's
that's
big
like
time stuff, man. Everybody, well,
yeah,
mostly everybody like to smell good. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. But and the thing too about it is nobody really reviews the real stuff. They always look for a clone. So so
Yeah.
the so the content that always get the best numbers is clone fragrances, because if you're in the fragrance world, you want something that smells just like it for a bargain, for a
Hmm.
fraction of the price, because
Absolutely.
the average person won't know.
Hmm.
You
No, they
know,
won't.
like they like, because to them they're getting that initial and they're like, oh wow, okay, you're wearing a Ventus, not knowing you wearing an Ventus clone.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like Armaf makes a Creed a Creed clone. They make the best Creed clone out of anybody. I don't care what nobody says. So there's this club de Nuit. It's
Okay.
$40 a bottle. It's the closest thing to Creed you're gonna get.
Damn.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the closest thing to Creed you're gonna get. I recently bought a clone of Absolute that smells nothing like Creed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, so for me, I didn't know that it was supposed to be a whole new DNA. They just used the Creed name, but it's like because I'm thinking that it's supposed to be a better, improved Aventus,
Right.
but all it's this one is more. It has more of a it's more fruitier than the original Creed. And I'm like, nah, I can't bang with this.
Yeah, you gotta
It's
get
great.
you see that's what I'm saying. Like you still gotta get him in the ballpark now. Even though I ain't even I know
uh,
because you giving it to me for 40, you still gotta it gotta be worth 40 because if it ain't what I'm looking
mm-hmm.
for, then it ain't worth 40 either.
Yeah,
I feel you on that.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. Like
yeah, man.
like
But it
what are
was
your
crazy
things
because
outside
like
of cigars? Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say like it was crazy because like with the nuances and everything, we used to have this cake place down in Albany. That's where I'm from. I'm from Albany. It's about 2.5
Okay,
hours south of Atlanta.
okay.
And they would have they
Mm. Well, that's it. I don't know what happened there. That's kind of interesting. Oh, you know what? He must have got a phone call or something. Hopefully he come back on. Let me just text him, let him know that he dropped real quick. Uh, but like I said, in the means, like while we're waiting for Justin to get back, you know, my thing. Well, we got a fire over here somewhere, So, but in the meantime, but like I was saying before, my first friend. So if you go on my original channel, which is Innocent McGuire, you will see like I got like 20 fragrance reviews there, and it's one of those things where fragrance was like my first original thing I got into. Like I was obsessed with like every week I was buying. Well, every month I was buying like 4 different fragrances. Oh, there we go.
man, I don't know what that was about.
Yeah, I know. You just dropped off. That was crazy.
Oh no, that was crazy. Yeah,
Yeah. No,
but
no,
yeah,
no. You were talking about the cake shop.
yeah. So with the cake shop, right? It was like um for me, they had this icing and it had that
Mm,
same vanilla like flavoring and kind of like aroma that the pipe tobacco had. And I know it
mm,
sounds nasty at first, but it's not. It was great cake. But like that's when I found out about the connection between the nose and the palate. You
mm-hmm,
And it was like from that moment on, I was able to pick nuances off of the cigar. You know,
mm.
like damn, that's crazy. But that's when the connection was made. So yeah, oh shit,
Like
man.
you know, f- for me, it's that thing of guessing the notes
Mhm,
and what it reminds you of.
mhm,
You know, like for me, when I'm doing when I'm doing reviews, it's like so. I don't do cigar reviews. I
right.
always I always wanted to do like a Joe Rogan type of podcast, but the equalizer is always the cigar.
Right, right.
You know, because my philosophy is everybody has a story.
Absolutely.
And it's just breaking it down. Oh, let me see because I'm getting some feedback on my end. Let me see if I can fix this audio real quick. All right, how do I sound, Stokes?
Yeah, you sound good. Crystal clear over here.
Uh, am I still getting feedback on your end?
Nah, I didn't hear it at all. The message
Uh,
has been on you. I didn't hear it at all. I just hear you.
so I'm trying.
Now,
I'm trying to just bounce around. Yeah. So like, cause like when I talk, I'm getting an echo.
let me see
You know,
something. Hold on.
let me see. Yeah.
Let me disconnect this camera. It may be me.
Uh,
I have my camera on.
what's going on, D-Lo and wife?
D Love, what's good, man?
D,
D Love and wife.
yeah. How y'all doing
Sure.
tonight? What y'all smoking on? What y'all smoking on tonight? Yeah, like you know when I like
Go ahead. I
I
hear you.
remember when I okay when I first went and got and really started like pouring into fragrances. I'm sitting there and I'm just like, man, I love all these fragrances. You know, every now and again I would hit a dud.
Okay.
This like I got like and people ask me, it's like, you know, like how do you wear all these different fragrances? And I go, well, you know, like during summertime, I got on t-shirts. You know, during the summer, I shoot every day. I'll just throw on something different, or I'll
Wow.
just rotate them out at work.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, so yeah, that's my thing.
That's a big market, man. That's a
Hmm.
big market. And like you say, the fact that you do cigars, hey, that's a luxury market right there.
Yeah,
I
you know,
mean,
like so. What do you get into outside of cigars? What besides traveling? Like, what do you think? Like, what other you know? I would say hobbies do you have?
for me, man, I mean, my biggest thing is family, bro. My
Like,
biggest thing is family, man. My,
nice.
my wife, you know what I mean? And, that's it, bro. Work, home, and, that's it.
You really don't with with three boys.
Yeah. I
With
try to
three
keep
boys, you really got time.
I try to keep myself healthy. I try to hit
Yeah.
the gym. You know what I mean? Keep that in rotation.
Hmm.
Man, that's
Listen, man. So you know, my son is here. You know, so my son is here. So you know, he's been killing me.
yeah.
Oh my, yeah, man. Oh my god. So we've been going to the gym pretty much every day. You know, and
Okay.
he working me like a dog.
That's a
You
good
know, he
thing
working me
though.
like yeah, it is. It
Yeah.
is because I need to be able to get myself back into shape.
Yeah.
You know, like I try to go and really, you know, like because I was telling the guys the story last night of man, he got me stick. He got me
Yeah.
yesterday, man. I mean, on Friday. So you know, we went around and we were sitting there and we wrestling.
Okay.
So you know, after the workout, we go, we go to the green grass, and we just doing like stance and movement.
Yeah.
So for the first 30 seconds, I'm holding my own, man. I'm doing good. You know, I'm like, yeah, I'm like, all right, you know, man. I I went, I shot in on him. My knee hit
Yeah.
the ground. I ain't go nowhere. I was stuck, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
Can't move.
Like, yo, man, I shot in, got a hold of his leg, but I'm sitting here thinking I'm gonna sit there, drive through, go up, go from the high crotch into a double leg.
Mm-hmm.
Man, my knee hit that mat, and I'm just like, yo, like I got no explosive, none.
Little man had Japan.
Well, he didn't pin me, but like he went, and he got his 2 points on me, man. He got his 2 points, but now, next week we're gonna start adding some cardio to the to after our training sessions. We gonna add a little bit of cardio.
Get that win back here.
Yeah, get that win back up, and then we're gonna see what he's gonna do.
Yeah, I can't wait for them days right
Hmm.
there. Can't wait for them days.
Yeah, listen. It's I would say this, man. It's a gift and a curse. It's a gift and a curse in the sense of I had my son so young that I grew up young and I wasn't established. So the first maybe 10 years of his life was a struggle.
Okay.
After that, I got myself a job where I'm at now, and now the second he wants that, he gets it.
Okay.
You know, so
Yeah.
because I grew with my son. I'm 40 years old and he 18.
Yeah.
Damn, he's a man now.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there's ever, of course you got, you know, places you want to be in life. You know,
Uh huh.
some folks get to those places earlier than others, some folks a little later. Um, I don't know. You can be safe to enough, but I don't know how you actually time having a kid, right? You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Everybody wants the perfect time, but I don't really think there's a perfect time for anything.
There isn't.
You know what I mean? It's just all about, are you ready to learn? Are you ready to become something different than what you are? You know,
Exactly.
are you ready to compromise part of you? You know what I mean? Are you ready to give to a greater cause? You know,
Hmm. That's that's the thing. Like it took me a while to realize that my life was not mine. It's theirs.
yeah,
Because my job is to make sure that I put them in the best position possible to be successful.
yeah, yeah.
If they end up straying from that, it's not. I did my part,
That's it.
but
Because
I put you. Go ahead.
that's it. Because we all have those fears and doubts, those thoughts. Any involved father always have those type of thoughts in the back of their head. The what ifs, But let's not say that anything like that's gonna happen. That's just you being involved. That's you being
Hmm.
concerned. That's you being a dad. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
supposed to have those kind of thoughts. Any motherfucker that don't, I'm like, what are you thinking about? You know what I mean? That's you're always
Exactly.
have those thoughts of, am I doing enough? You can be doing the most, and it's like, am I doing enough? That's a part of being a father, man. That's the weight of a man. You
Yeah.
know, and
And as a black father, we really get a bad rap.
yeah,
But there's a study out there that says black fathers are the most involved in their kids' life out of anybody.
yeah, I can believe that.
You know,
I can believe that because it have to
so
be.
yeah.
I mean, there's no, it. The biggest part that I hate about this media shit, right, is what nobody reads, nobody researches.
Yeah.
It's just whatever they shine a spotlight on. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
They shine a spotlight on shit. It's like, yeah, that's what it is. That's the narrative. No, is it?
Hmm.
Or that's just, as far as you're willing to go. Are you just you want to listen to what a motherfucker says?
Hmm.
So I mean, when you look at it from that aspect, yeah, it's triple times important for us to
Hmm.
be in there. But I feel like it's it makes it that much easier too.
Mm-hmm.
If you instill that foundation, it's there. There's not. You gonna have kids gonna be kids. They're gonna rebel. They're gonna do this, that, and other. But you don't get much of that when you put a solid foundation up under them.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them, it doesn't make sense to them until they start having kids. But
Exactly.
the ones that you know understand and that have the present father, it's like, yo, I know this was shit I ain't supposed to be doing. You always have a second thought, and that's our God as a father to put that second thought in their mind. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I can't make the choice for you, but I want to at least be able to have gotten to you enough to where you think twice before you make a decision. You know what I mean? Before you do something that could potentially cause you harm or
Exactly.
potentially make you great. You know what I mean? I
Mm-hmm.
want you to always have that voice in your head. That
It,
father voice in the head.
and that's all we can do, man. Like it's funny. Like I remember you know like one thing like my stepfather he passed away. Like my brother's father. He passed away. And he goes, every time you do something stupid, you're gonna feel a kick in your ass. And sometimes I feel like I'm like, yo, what just hit me?
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
And
Those
I'll look
coaches,
up and say, all right, you got me, you got me.
yeah, and that's what it's all about, man. Because imagine the ones that don't have that voice. They just
Exactly.
go off their emotion or go off a reaction. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's what you're trying to debate, man. And it's kind of like, you know, it gets scary because that point comes to where you realize, yeah, I'm your dad, but this is still your book, and
Hmm.
you got to write the chapters in, and you got to finish this book. And
It's.
that kind of gets scary, especially for mothers too.
Hmm.
And it's like, damn, now he got to make decisions that I can't really be involved in, as a man.
Exactly.
Yeah. But the guidance, man,
And,
that's just being there, always being there, man. The guidance is key. That's key.
me and him were having a conversation um, on Thursday when he got here, and we had an hour long conversation, and we were just talking about his goals for his wrestling season.
Hmm.
And he was saying like he said, Dad, I don't want to wrestle in college, you
Okay.
know. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, why? I'm like, if they're gonna pay for you, that's something you should go for.
Hmm.
And for him, he was like, nah, I'm good. He goes, no, like I don't want wrestling to become my life in college because I know what college wrestlers go through.
Yeah.
But I also feel like it's a little bit of fear. It's a little bit of fear, and it's one of those things where he, you know, because that it's the thought of failure,
Hmm.
and I take it as him just being scared to fail. And I really try to, and as we're talking, I go, you're a senior. It's a good chance. It's a good chance you're gonna be a captain. It's a good chance that he goes, Dad, I don't want to be a captain. He goes, I don't want that responsibility. I just really want to go out there and just do my thing for myself. And I'm sitting, and I'm like, like, listen, like, you can't just think about you. Like, you're setting the standard. Like, when you're the captain of something, you're setting the standard.
Yeah.
You're setting the standard.
Yeah. Especially if you've been asked to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That means somebody somewhere, sees something in you.
Mm-hmm. And I told him that, you know, I go, that right there just means your coach sees something in you. And, then he was like, if I get offered a scholarship, then I'll do it.
Hmm.
And I'm telling him like, listen, like a coach might come and not going and ask you to do it. Like he goes, if that happens, then I'll do it. But I'm not gonna go up and just and do it as a walk on. So,
This is in making the transition to college.
yeah,
I got
but
you. How long?
as for as well, so I started him off young.
Mhm.
I started him off when he was like 10.
Okay.
So he first started off with Brazilian Jiu Jitsu.
Mhm.
So because I knew from Brazilian Jiu Jitsu he'll transit he'll be able to wrestle in high school.
Okay.
But now he don't like he's like nah, I don't like Jiu Jitsu no more. I just want to wrestle.
Okay.
Now all he wants to do is that's his life. He wrestles 7 days a week.
He did that's so yeah. He got a pretty strong love. Yeah.
Yeah, he loves it. But it's the most interesting thing because he don't watch it. He don't watch it on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know, but he's at every practice. During the off season, he goes to a place called Sniper MMA in Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he goes there,
So yeah,
and it's one of those things.
and it could be some potential burnout there too.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's good to have, other things
yeah.
to get away with, especially you doing something 7 days a week. And
Hmm.
you doing this for another 4 years, and you have that potential and you have that drive to be that guy, you know, you gotta have a
The
way deep
mindset.
too. You gotta have a deep potential level.
Like for me, like I told him, I said, listen, I don't want you to win states. I just want you to qualify. That's it. I just
Yeah.
want you to be one of the best 16 kids in Florida. You do that, you went further than I did. You're better than
Mhm.
me.
So you want him to be better than you in the sport. That's what you're
That's
saying.
it. That's it. That's it. Just like I just want you to go and do your thing. Like I want you to be the guy that I know you can be.
Does he do anything other than wrestle?
That's
Anything?
that's his only sport.
Okay.
He wrestles 365.
Any kind of interests or hobbies in the music, anything like that?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. He one thing he so his thing is he likes playing UFC competitively.
Mhm.
So like that's his game where he goes and he'll sit there and break down his opponent and say, all right, I know what he's gonna do. He'll sit there for a round and go, all right, well he's only gonna do this combination. And then he'll go and just tear into a guy. And I'm like, yo, like go on Twitch, man.
Yeah.
He's like, nah, I'm good. I'm good behind the scenes. You know,
So you want him to go out there to the forefront, and he kind of like, yo, I'm
nah, I'm good.
behind the shadow. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
but I think the one thing is that he doesn't he doesn't want to have the pressure, and I understand that. And this right here is his senior year.
Mhm.
It's his senior year, so for me, it's more like just go and do your thing.
Yeah.
Go out there, have fun. But have a killer. But when you wrestle, have a killer instinct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
You know?
if that's what you love and that's what you get into, yeah, no doubt. I mean, no doubt he had a killer instinct. But I mean, he, you know, as long as he knows that, like I was saying, that it's his book that he writing.
Yeah.
As long as he know that he's
Yep.
writing his book and not finishing
Yep.
yours. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly.
That's as long as he hear that, that's
You know,
shit.
and the one thing I'm very proud of him about is, last summer, me and his coach sat down for like 3 hours with him,
Mm-hmm.
and we went over his grades, and we broke down how he was getting scholarships. And now his grades is coming along. You know, now he went from getting B's and F's to getting A's and B's now. You know, he's getting mostly B's, but you know that right there will still qualify you for a scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
So
What's what is it? What's his goals like? What's he want to do? Like, what's he want to be?
uh, he wants to be a fireman.
Okay, that's a
You
good
know,
occupation.
like so. Me and him had a talk when he was like 15 years old about becoming a fireman,
Mm-hmm.
and from that point on, he fell in love with it because he fell in love with the fact of the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I told him, I said, yeah, you can always go and join the fire department. I said, you get your education, and then you can go and join the fire department because you'll have you'll have more accolades on your resume.
Come in with a degree. Yeah, I feel you.
Exactly.
I feel you.
You know, so
Yeah.
hope now the younger one on the other hand, that one might be a little bit of a different story.
Yeah.
You know,
What he Russell?
nah,
He just
he don't want to do nothing but play Xbox.
okay. So yeah,
Like,
he young though, right?
yeah, so he's 14, so
Yeah,
he's like, no, I don't want to do it. It's not. I said, listen, that it's in your blood.
yeah,
You know, I said it's in your blood. So
yeah.
we
Well,
got so, but
so
so,
the key I know as far as for me and mine, like I know they're small now, but my biggest thing is finding what they love.
hmm
We're gonna try everything, but
yeah,
I want you to stick with what you love.
exactly.
I don't want you to stick with what nobody else did. I don't want you to stick with what your uncles did. I don't want you to stick with. I want you to do what you love because I know if you're doing what you love, that's what you're gonna succeed at. You're gonna do it effortlessly.
hmm
You know what I mean? So I'm backing that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? That's the biggest thing. You know,
yeah.
doing what you love.
So he wanted to play rugby because I played rugby, and I told him no. Yeah, I told him no on that. I said rugby will always be there. I don't need you getting injured playing rugby, messing up your wrestling.
Yeah.
You know. So I told him, I said, listen, I don't need you this dislocating your shoulder because you dislocate your shoulder. You're no good for wrestling. So I told him, I said when you become 18 and your wrestling career is done, you can go find a club team to play for. Oh
That's a hard swing. That's a hard swing. No.
yeah, like I did both, and you know about the time I got to wrestling, you know my shoulders were shot.
Yeah.
Like just more tackling and rugby with no pads.
So what if you just did like only rugby? Cause you
Uh,
said
I would
that's what you
I
like.
wouldn't mind it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind it at all. It's less opportunity. It's less opportunity for scholarship, and also like going pro. But even though there's no pro for wrestling unless you're going Olympic, but even then you still it's a hard way to make a living. Like for me, the wrestling mindset is a mindset that can prepare you for anything in life. Like I remember one time he told me, he goes, "Yeah, Dad, I had to lose 10 pounds in one day." I said, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, I ate too much like on a holiday, and I had a meat, and I was 10 pounds over." And I'm like, dude, I'm like, you killing yourself. Like I wasn't happy. He told me after the fact that he weighed in.
Mm,
He
okay.
told me after the fact because I've been like, listen, like you missing weight that day. Because there's no way you're gonna be sitting there trying to make weight. I had teammates that would do stuff like that, lose 8 pounds in one day, because all your strength is light.
Mhm.
You know,
And I fucked around
not
with you asked me earlier what I do. I played the tuba
okay.
coming up. I do own one. I do still play every now and then. I don't play.
Oh, that's what's up, man.
Yeah, I don't play with a band or anything, but I do still play from time to time. You know,
So who was you? So did you ever see that guy play? I think it's called Black and Blue.
black and blue. Yeah,
Yeah,
black and blue.
man.
Black and blues.
Yeah,
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, man. Let me tell you, like that's why I love. Like for me, there's nothing better than watching them HBCU bands.
Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
know,
sir.
like to me, like there is not anything in the like just the way, and especially once that brass section start going,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
The
Yeah.
prep.
So who were your inspirations to get into playing the tuba?
So when I started out, I wanted to play the trumpet,
Mm,
but I had a band teacher that told me, "Nah, you'll be a better tuba player." And I'm like, "All right, well just let me try all of them then, because I feel like I want to play this."
yep. Mm-hmm.
You know, she knew a lot about me. She had been around, 30, 40 years doing it. So she saw something at the time that a sixth grader didn't see. You know what I
Mm,
mean?
mm-hmm.
So, yeah, man, I kind of got into that. I started listening to Chuck Mangione, Herbie Hancock, people like that.
Mm. Yeah.
In that field for jazz and reading music and stuff like that. And then it was just like it was up from there. So it
Mm.
wasn't the biggest influences for me as far as playing tuba. I actually played with those guys. I was in high school. They were
Yeah.
ahead of me. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't many, you know, tuba players or anything like that. But those guys went on to do great things, like the Drumline movie and Morris Brown and all that. Those guys,
Mm-hmm.
people that was in that band, like I can guarantee you, probably 20% of them came from my house. We was in the same house.
Wow.
So, the big white guy that was a tuba player on there, they showed the audition stand. His name was Jeff. He was one of the guys that critiqued my style and taught me a lot of
Mm.
stuff. He went to my high school, and yeah, man, stuff like that. And my mom was a French horn player,
Mm.
and she would always keep like my mom had the milk crates, bro, with the albums, the records,
Yeah.
talking about everything from the classical all the way to Roberta Flack. Like that that was big in my house, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Music, you know what I mean? That was big, you know. My dad, of course, he was a working man. That's where I get my work ethic from. He always taught me from
Mm-hmm.
a work for everything you want, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is, work for it, if you can attain it. And I kind of always had that attitude, you know what I mean? And but yeah, that's That's my other hobby. You know what I mean? What I do sometimes, I go out on the porch and put it out, run through some
Mm.
films, and, you know, you know,
Mm.
shoot a little
Like,
pool.
yeah, like like I would like that. That's one thing that me and Fred used to talk about a lot, man. Was just them HBCUs them HBCU bands, man. There
Yeah,
is
man.
like you know, I think the guy name is Will something, but he's a trumpet. He plays the trombone. You know,
Will. Is it jazz artist?
huh? Yeah, no, well, I don't know if it's jazz now, but he he went viral for doing Black and Blue.
Uh, what is that? The Tennessee State guy?
Huh? Yep, I think so.
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about. I think I know who you're talking about. But yeah,
You know.
yeah, man, all of that, bro. You know what I mean? Was just a part of the love. You know what I mean? Just doing what you love. You know what I mean? Sitting
Hmm.
back, enjoying it. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong. I still went down, play, pick up games, play a little basketball,
Hmm.
football. When it jumped off, play rec ball, stuff like that. I still got on
Hmm.
to. You know,
Hmm.
so I had a grounding, but it was that love for music was always in me. Still is to this day. Yeah.
So like to me, man, the perfect pairing is some jazz music, a cigar, and a nice cold on the rocks, bourbon.
There you go.
You
There
know.
you dim the lights. You know what I
Uh
mean?
huh.
You can go wherever you want to go in that room. You know what I mean?
Mm.
You can go wherever you want to go in that room.
Like
Yeah.
honestly, it's one of those things, man, where like when it comes to you know when it comes to musicians, I feel like musicians their brains work different, and and honestly, like I feel like a lot of musicians that I know, like Rob from Should I Smoke This, he's a drummer,
Mm-hmm.
but Rob also had 3 or 4 YouTube channels, but every single one of them was successful.
Yeah.
I feel like musicians have a different mindset when it comes to having success.
Yeah, it's definitely it's looked at on a different plane, and it
Yeah.
can be kind of a blessing and a curse because a lot of us are perfectionists, which
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times causes us to take a lot of time in areas that we shouldn't take a lot of time in.
Yep.
But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're not gonna see too many musicians put out bad products.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, you know what I mean? Because we believe in, as we say in rap, we're letting the beat build.
Yep.
It ain't gonna be no throw together shit, no matter whether it's a YouTube channel or it's a song or a project we're working on. Could be building a car or anything. We let the beat build. You know what I mean? And we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
consider that. We're gonna let that flow for 8 to 16 minutes before we drop something else on top of it. We're gonna make sure that
Mm-hmm.
you know
It
what I
hit.
mean? Yeah. So yeah,
That's
it's a little bit different wiring. It is.
that's why I have so much respect for people who played back in the '60s, '70s. You know, because
Mm-hmm.
like it's not like now where they throw on a CD.
Yeah.
Back then you had to bring your band with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I kind of James Brown had the baddest band around.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. James was
you
the best.
know,
It was tough. Nowadays they emailing verses and shit to each other. Like, yeah, we in the same studio.
exactly.
You know. So yeah. Yeah, man.
Like, and then on top of that practice and that band got to be on point. It's like the band of Earth, Wind and Fire.
Yeah.
that band right there was no joke, man.
Absolutely.
My favorite track is Reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Is when he's doing Reasons live.
Yeah.
When he's doing Reasons live, and he's going chord for chord with the sax player.
You can feel it. You know
Yo,
what I'm
oh my
saying?
god.
Yeah. Feel the baby. Yeah, man.
Hmm.
Yeah, man. That's why I
That.
say it's something that you take your time with. It's
Hmm.
like anything else that you're passionate about. You know what I mean? It's your baby. You know.
Hmm.
So yeah, absolutely, man.
Oh shit! I didn't kick my camera out. Yeah, so do you think you're gonna get the boys into jazz?
So here's, and I got this from a wise man, and it kind of stuck ever since coming up. Three things I want my boys to do:
Mm.
play an instrument, learn an instrument, learn a martial art, and learn finance.
Hmm.
Those three things right there is the biggest like thing for me putting into them. Do those three things right now as far as what I want out of it, and incorporate that into whatever you love.
Yeah, exactly.
But like for you, that's my wrestling. Those three things. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And from there,
You know what? It's crazy because the older one was actually good on the drums. He picked up the drums pretty fast. He just never stuck with it.
yeah, 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 man.
You
I'm talking
know.
about it's a different thought pattern, man. It,
Hmm.
time, time, because so much precision goes into it, right? Everything
Hmm.
is about timing.
Yeah.
So it helps in every aspect of whatever you're doing. You know what I mean? You can apply it to that. You're thinking on a level of, okay, she's gonna do this, I'm gonna do that.
Yep.
This coming. I gotta be here for that else. You know what I mean? Even with the marching
Yeah.
aspect, okay, with a lot of those things, when I was doing marching band, things like that, you got 32 steps to get from this spot to that spot.
Mm.
And you get while you playing this music. You add that to the music, the beat to the music. You got
Hmm.
30 from this spot to that spot. And you gotta lock in that spot with everybody else locking
Hmm.
that information. That type of shit, that type of mindset is bigger than band.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That follows you throughout life. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That helps you with uniformity and learning unity and things like that, and how to be a part of something. You know what I mean? And how to lead shit as well. You know, so a
You
lot
know.
to a lot of people it sounds boring,
Yep.
but that you think the shit easy, like you said, at HBCUs, if you think that shit is easy, go to one of their summer camps.
Mm.
Go to the summer camp. Don't even worry about marching the game. Just go hang out. Go to summer camp. Do the drills that they do the exercise that they do, and try to do that shit while doing music at the same time.
Mm.
They realize that it's a reason they call it a fine art because everybody can do it.
Hmm.
You know. Yeah.
You know. I always like Drumline was a really good insight into the world of marching band.
Yes, it was.
And I'm kind of upset that they still don't make movies like that
Yeah.
to really get kids involved, because you gotta think about, like, Netflix made that movie. It's called I think it's called the Queen's Play or something like that. But it was about a female chess player.
Okay.
chess went up like 50% of chess players
I
after
think
that movie
yeah,
came out. You know.
yeah, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of people don't get that in depth look into that side of it. You know what really goes into it. You know what I mean? You see football, basketball, all that shit everywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People look at okay, how much money can I make off of it? You know what I mean?
hmm
That's a big thing. So, but not realizing that you can go really far depending on how love you know, how much love you got for it, how much passion you got for
Exactly. You know what the crazy thing about the sport
it.
of basketball now is you got guys that shouldn't be in the NBA in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
Yeah,
if you tall and you can shoot, you got a job.
yeah.
Like I don't care what nobody says. A 6'10" guy to me should not be shooting 7, 8 threes a game
Nope.
because he got no post game, no moves, no nothing. But he sit out there and shoot threes all day.
And see, that's what killed the game to me. That's what killed the game to me right there. Ain't nobody banging no more. Ain't no cleanup man no more. Like,
hmm
get physical no more. That's why I tell folks, like, around the time Kobe retired is around the time that I kind of stopped watching basketball. Like,
mm,
you know, I still, you know, watch it now when it get close to, like, now the finals and the playoffs or something
hmm
like that. Like, that shit back then was interesting through the season because
hmm
when these certain set of guys matched up with these certain set of guys, then it was gonna be an issue. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You knew when Kobe and Powell went to play Garnett and Paul Pierce and all them, you already knew, hey, we about to have a game on our
Exactly. Because they wasn't shooting. They wasn't there shooting 33s a
hands.
game.
Yeah. Nah, we got a designated guy for that. But we
hmm
got to get the ball, so that it's going to be some dog fights in the post. You know what I
hmm
mean? You know, and it just it was so much more interesting, man. You know, you ain't. It was nowadays 20 point score before you even see a layup.
Exactly.
You know,
Because you know what, those geeks, like I don't understand why they feel like especially Boston. I don't understand why Boston was sit there and shoot 60 53s a game,
yeah,
but only make 25 of them or 16 of them.
yeah. I don't see how
You
there'll
know,
be a lot of issues that way.
you know.
You know what I'm saying? Like how you getting that open? Like ain't nobody playing defense no more.
hmm You can't.
Yeah, like you said,
They
they might
actually
hit threes and one man shot 30 of
exactly.
them. What?
And the funny shit about it is now they talk about bringing back the hand check.
Ain't nobody gonna use it.
Yeah, it's exactly.
They already, man, you can't hand to them in the flop. They already, you
Oh
know what
yeah,
I'm
for
saying?
real.
It's
Yeah.
like you get the hand out there, they know they got that. Oh, I'm about to flop on you.
hmm
And
They they
everybody
already
talking.
they already hit the ground.
Giannis
You
is
know.
about Giannis's mindset is about one of the mindsets that I really really respect in the league right now because he said
hmm
in the off season I ain't trying to go play with these guys or none of this
At
shit.
all.
With my
Uh huh.
teammates, I'm trying to
Uh
kill
huh.
these, trying to beat these
Uh huh.
guys. And to me, that's that old school. That's that old school play right
Well, you know
there. That's
what?
why shit's on.
Like the reason why LeBron will never be as great as Mike because LeBron don't put fear in nobody. LeBron don't go up to somebody and say, "I'm drop," like go up to you and say, "I'm dropping 50 tonight. What you gonna do about it? Who guarding me?" Nope.
Yeah,
LeBron want to dap everybody up before the game, be cool with everybody. Nah, like yo, like I'm coming for you.
I need that killer instinct.
I need it. And he never had it.
Never had, never had
Never
it.
had it.
I ain't taking nothing away from him. He is the greatest of his era. He is, and like I said, I don't even get into that debate with people. I'm like, yo, they played in different eras. You know,
Mm-hmm.
had his era, and that's that's his time. There wasn't nobody fucking with Braun during his time. Wasn't nobody
Mm-hmm.
fucking with his time. However, I do hate the way Kobe sometimes get overshadowed because of that. You know what I'm saying? And especially since Bron,
Like.
it's like nobody talk about Kobe no more unless the shoes drop.
Yep.
And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, you won 5 ships, bro. Five
Thing
of them.
about love about Kobe. Kobe practiced with you to scout you. His
Mm-hmm.
thing was, oh, all right, yeah, we can go and practice together. But he's sitting
Yeah.
there watching how to shut you down.
Watching how to set you down. He finna, that's it. He had a motive behind what he was doing. It wasn't, I'm coming
Exactly.
just to run with you and risk being injured. Y'all run
Mm-hmm.
all summer,
Shit.
and you can't play but 40 games of the season because you didn't got hurt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh
My
man.
biggest for Kobe, when they asked Kobe, they was like, why did you go out there knowing that you could take off and sit down, like you could not come to the game or miss the game like these guys or not travel with the team. And he was like, well, what about that kid whose parents saved up all year long just to see me play this game?
Exactly.
They buy tickets that they done saved all year long for, and they find out I'm not traveling with the team because I want a night off.
Mm-hmm.
Taking me for the next game. He's like, that's why I do
Yep.
it. And I'm like, that's big respect. That's big up. That's big
Yeah.
up. You
Because
paid
think about
good.
this. LeBron played like 60 games a year. He only played 60 games a year. That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So that's a lot.
it's not and it's not like he signed an autograph. You know, like honestly, like my mindset it would be if I was big like that, I would tell the security guard, give me every kid that's under 12, bring them to me. I would literally sit the whole game signing stuff for them.
Yeah.
Give because they came to see me and give them a memory.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Because on that farewell
because
to the game,
yeah,
you know what I
you
mean?
know,
You know. And like I said, I ain't taking nothing away from the guy. I don't know. He might do that. I don't know. He might do that. I'm pretty sure
mhm,
he's a great guy. Don't get me wrong.
you
I ain't
know,
taking nothing away from him.
no, you
It's,
know
it's,
what,
others,
LeBron
there-
is
it's others out
Le,
there that ain't even on his level though that's doing this shit.
nah, yeah, like
That's
to
what I'm
me
saying. I mean,
as a person, I think LeBron is one of the greatest people. His image is clean. Never got caught in any scandals. You never hear about LeBron cheating on his wife.
yep,
Been with his wife since high school.
a perfect
You
image.
know,
Perfect image
per,
of it, man.
perfect image. You know, but his team makes sure that anything that even remotely comes out, they squashing it.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
if it's even close, they shutting it down.
yeah.
You know, and Savannah's the first one to say, "Hey, listen, like she pregnant again."
Right.
You know, she pregnant again. She ain't letting him go for nothing.
Right. Doing it the right way, man.
Yeah, and I think she have another son.
You got the sons out there. You got a son in the league. You know what I mean?
Uh huh.
That's outstanding shit.
And here's the
Great.
thing:
Wow.
think about that bond that he's get that those two are getting now. But think about the pressure. Like he can call himself Bronny James. He can call himself Bronny James, whatever he wants. At the end of the day, he's LeBron Jr.
Yeah.
That name itself is the most pressure thing ever. It's
Yeah.
like Ken Griffey Jr. Like Ken Griffey Sr. was a good ball player,
Mm-hmm.
solid ball player. But his son, if it's, and this is my opinion, if his son never got injured, to me, Ken Griffey Jr. is the best ball player of all time. To me, he can run.
Yeah.
He always hit over 300.
Mm-hmm.
Hit for power. You
He
know,
was he was gonna
to
give
me,
you
he,
something this season. It wasn't soft,
like,
wasn't soft at all. You know.
mm,
But that's one of those scenarios too that you look at it like kind of like Stephen A. said, like it's hard to judge that situation because we ain't never seen it before.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like we ain't never seen an actual father play with his son. You
Well, you know
know.
what nobody ever thought Bronny was going to be LeBron. Now
No.
Bryce is a different story.
Yeah.
Bryce he's all LeBron. Like he's same height, same body build.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so Bryce is better than his brother.
Mm-hmm. And that's the
But
thing. I don't think he would want them to even wear that pressure.
uh huh,
As a father, go out there and be you. You know what I mean? Don't go out there trying to do, try to emulate, of course, what I did, win
yeah.
championships now. But do it in your own right.
You
The
know,
name is the name. You know what I mean? But you still still write your own book. I just done paid
yeah.
for it.
You
I
know what
played
the
a lot,
whole
and it's a lot. You can do what you want with this if you're willing to put the work in.
think about all the sons that are in the NBA right now. Like Scottie Pippen's son play for the Grizzlies.
Hmm.
I think Scotty's son averaged like 12 points a game, but he don't got that pressure.
Right.
Like nobody ever said, "Oh, well, you got to be as good as your dad."
Yeah. Nobody put those cameras on him like that either.
Yeah, exactly. Like Kenya Martin's son. His son been in the league for five years now. And his name is Kenya Martin Jr., but he go by KJ. And KJ and he go and Kenya say the only games I watch is my son's games. That's it.
No,
That's all I watch.
that's real.
You know,
That's real, man.
you know.
When you look at, you looking at something like that, you watching your legacy. That's a blessing. You watch your
This is a
legacy,
blessing.
you know, before your eyes. You just seeing everything unfold, and it's crazy. You
No, it's
know.
crazy. My son, he goes, "Oh well, Dad. When I have a son, he's getting the name." And me and
Hmm.
my dad are like, "No, it stops with you."
Yeah.
He's like, "No, Dad." Like he's like, there has to be a fourth. So in my head, I think about how crazy would that be?
So you're junior.
Yep,
He's the third.
he's the third.
Okay. Okay.
So in my head, I think about that. If that happens, that picture that we take where we got four generations of innocent, and my dad is holding the baby, the fourth.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like that right there be crazy.
That's dope.
You
That's
know,
dope. That's dope. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, because to me, life is about legacy, man. What are you leaving behind?
That's it.
And the one thing that I want to be able to have is for you know, like for when I pass that, or even when I'm alive. But when my son meet people that I know, and they say, "Man, your dad is such a good guy," and they go, "Man, your dad You know, he's really a good guy
Mm-hmm.
because that's all I ever hear about my dad.
Yeah.
You know, and that's and you know and you know and you know when I bring my son to my job, everybody go, man, your dad is one of the nicest people.
Yeah.
You know, they all go, you know, your dad's a real is a real stand up guy.
Yeah. That
Uh-huh.
grounding, man. That's all it is. That foundation. Once that
Hmm.
foundation is there, that's it, man.
That's it, man.
That's part of that voice. That's part of that voice we're talking about. That
Yeah,
foundation, that voice is always gonna be there.
yeah.
You know.
And that's all I can ever, you know, that's all I can ever hope for.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. You can't. I mean, that's the legacy. Like I said, to see the legacy unfold is, you know, seeing your kids grow up
Yeah,
from,
that's it, man.
and seeing them carry on. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing,
Hmm.
and still being able to pour into them. You
That's
know
it.
what I mean? That's the
You know,
beauty.
for for me, my like I always want my dad. I always ask my dad, "Am I doing a good job?" And he goes, "Why you've asked me that? You know the answer to that. You know, as long as I'm getting his approval, you know, I'm fine.
That's it, man.
You
It
know,
means a lot, man. I feel you on that, man. That's how my dad is every time I see him. You know what I mean? Even
yeah,
though the boys are small, he's like, you doing an outstanding job with your boys, man.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Right, keep on the right path, bro. You know what to do.
exactly, yep.
You know, and,
And don't get me wrong, you know, like like my oldest son, he knows. Like you know, you're spoiled. You spoiled because half the stuff that you get, well, half the stuff you get, I didn't get. I always had to wait for it. You get it right away.
hmm
The second you say, "Dad, I need this. Dad, I want that." All right, I got you.
hmm
You know, and
but you're
that's
willing,
and you know,
willing to earn that. You know what I
yeah.
mean? That mentality is already built into you.
Hmm.
You know, yeah,
You know, I just go into and try to carry that on. So when he have his kids, you know, he know. And I think one thing that get lost in it is when people say, "I'm not sure I'm gonna be like," as long as you love your kids and you pour your love into them, being a father is an easy thing. Is it stressful? Yes. It could be stressful. It could be tiring. But I tell you, like once you hear dad or pop or whatever they call you, you know, no matter what it is, no matter how old they get, you know, you still see them as that 11 year old kid.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, you still see them as that.
No
Uh,
doubt, man. That and that
uh,
you and you know what I mean. Give them everything you can. I can't even think of a time, you know, where I would be in a situation to where it would be any otherwise, man. As a father,
yeah.
it's a beautiful thing, man.
Hmm.
Well, I had my kids late, so for me
Yeah.
and my wife, I had my first son at 40.
Hmm.
Like, we got to a point to where something was missing.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's when we figured it out. Like, oh damn, yeah, it's time. You know
Hmm.
what And I mean, to anybody out there that's about to become a new father or about to become a father for the first time, yeah, probably got them jitters or whatever. But say when the baby come out, you know what's going on. real, bro. It's like a different instinct, like
Yep.
that. I
You know
mean,
what? I would say this, man. It's a different, but people try to, and we say all the time, it's a different type of love
hmm
because you love something more than you love yourself.
hmm
Like when they fall and they crying, you like, man, like, oh man, like I like, how do I make it
yeah.
better? You know, you want to take all that pain away.
But then you look at it too, you know what I mean? Like we talk about all the time, like that's the only form of pure love that you're
Yep.
gonna get when that kid come out. They
Yeah.
don't know nothing. All they know is they
Nothing.
love you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's the purest form of love.
It
And
is.
the kid, you know what I mean? Like kind of love comes with some kind of unconditional,
Hmm.
conditional fees or something. It's transaction.
You know, always, when people like, and it's bad of me, but I always judge people that when they say I don't want to have kids.
Mm,
And I'm like, why? They're like, oh, because like I'm not sure I'm gonna be a good parent. Nobody knows they're gonna be a good parent. The only thing you can do is give like the second, and I'm pretty sure the same for you. The second you held your firstborn, the only thing you think of was I love this more than anything in this world. You know,
yeah.
because it's an unbelievable feeling.
hmm
You know.
But a lot of that fear, you know what I mean, is doubt, like we said, of them knowing whether or not they're gonna be able to parent or feeling that way. But the thing of it is, man, of course, there's certain things you can kind of, you
Hmm.
know, for the situation to get ready, but it's impossible to prepare for something that you've never done.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's hard to prepare for something that you've never experienced, right? You listen to people talk about it and tell you what they think their take is, but their relationship with their child might not be the same as the relationship with your child. Now, it's not going to be the same. It's completely different. So you can't prepare for something that you never experienced. Like you said, your oldest getting ready to go off to college.
Hmm.
That's a new experience for both of y'all.
Yep.
And when I had my firstborn, you know, a lady told me, she was like in the hospital, she was like, just remember that when that child was born, a parent was born.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean? So I know as a loving father, you want everything to be perfect.
Hmm. Yep.
But you just remember to give it your best shot. It's gonna be
Yeah.
some roller days in there. But you just remember, just keep riding. Keep
I
riding.
remember still to this day it still haunts me. And me and my son spoke about this. And I was very hard on him because he was super spoiled. And I remember every 2 weeks I was buying him a brand new game for $60. And I would buy him these games
Mhm.
and he after 2 weeks he stopped playing with them. And he would hound me down for a brand new game. I'm like, yo, like, dude, like I'm like, yo, like you over here getting stuff that other kids aren't getting. Like you over here hounding me down for games. I just bought you a new game 2 days ago. I mean 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
And he went home and he was like, and in his mind he was like, oh, my dad hates me. And I had to go to him. I said, I don't hate you. I never hated you. And I looked. I said, innocent. I will give you anything I can. When I have it, you can get anything in the world. But you cannot expect to get something every fucking time. Every time you ask for it, I'm gonna give it to you. It don't
Mhm.
work like that. Like
I need
like
to take
even like
man.
like even now, like you know, like he'll tell me about certain stuff that's going on at home with his mom, and I go, why didn't you call me? He goes, I didn't want to bother you. I go, you're never a bother. If I have it, you have it.
Hmm. Yeah,
Like the last thing that you'll ever be able to say is that you went without.
yeah.
That's the
And that's
last
a
thing I ever want you to think of.
yeah, that's a blessing to be able to provide
You know what? It's like growing up, seeing my dad do it. That was a real inspiration for me. That was a real inspiration for me to really. That was a real inspiration for me to always try to do every like whenever because I didn't always get what I wanted right away. Like, I need a baseball cleat. I would get my baseball cleats like 2 weeks into the season.
that. Hmm.
I needed baseball gloves. I would have to wait a week.
Hmm.
So I'll be playing there, borrowing somebody else's glove. No, but not
Yeah.
even. And mind you, I'm left-handed,
Hmm.
so I would have to go catch with my left hand, take the glove off, and rocket that bad boy back in.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Not too many lefties out there like
Yeah, man. So like, and the problem too is that if there's another lefty on the team, he got to use his glove, so I can't use his glove.
that. Exactly. Yeah.
So
Catch.
I, I would have to learn how to catch him with my strong hand, get that glove off quick, whip that bad boy back into the system, back into the field.
Yeah.
So but it's one of those things, you know. And the one thing I'm pretty sure, like when it came to sports, I always try to impress my dad. I remember this moment, and he'll deny it to this day. So I had a rugby game in my freshman year, and I scored twice in that game. Now, mind you, I had like 105-yard run, and then I had like a 65-yard run, but I didn't know he was there.
Okay.
I didn't know he was there. So he picks me back for the game, and I'm like, did you see what I did? He goes, oh, you were just fast. You were just faster than those kids. And I go, really? I can get no credit. I can get no credit for that.
He
He was
want to
like,
go
he was like, he's like, do it against a better team. He was like, do it again next week.
get that challenge going out there.
He was like, do it again next week. I'm like, oh. So every week I'm out there. I'm trying to score. But the problem with that is that you become in rugby we got the term called a black hole. When you become a black hole, you don't pass the ball. Rugby is a game of you want to be able to create an opening for your teammate. You want to be able to move the ball, create an opening this way your teammate, not until I was older, and I'm fat and out of shape that I'm like, you know what, like fuck that. I'm not doing all that running. I'm gonna sit here and set these guys up so this way these guys can go and score.
Right.
Because I know if my fat ass runs 60 yards, I'm done for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
then yeah. And you had
But
to take that eye out of the team then, huh?
oh yeah, oh yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah. You know,
Man.
but
It's a beautiful thing having a father, man. And
hmm
talking with one of my buddies, he said some real shit though on the aspect of having a father and not having a father. It's different ways to look at life. You know what I mean? So if you're out there and you don't have your father in your life, just look at it like this. One day you will be a father.
hmm
If you got your father in your life, you should possibly, you know what I mean, some good role models there. You should know what to do. But
and honestly,
if you don't have your father in your life, you definitely know what not to do.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta look at that. That's how you gotta
You know,
look.
I, the one thing I hate is the guys that make the excuse of I don't get along with your mother. Listen, it don't matter. If you don't get along with the mother, that don't discard your responsibility as a father.
You know,
Like, listen, if you have to go to court to get your visitation, you take your ass to court and you get your visitation.
it
This way you
don't
don't
stop
gotta
there.
deal with them. It don't stop because at the end of the day, you can't come back 18 years later talking about some. Oh well, me and your mother didn't get along, and that's why I wasn't around. Don't work like that because it's too much trauma, and that kid then already forgot about you. You can't come
Exactly.
in now.
Yeah.
Like Ray Lewis had an amazing documentary about his dad,
Mhm.
and he hated his dad growing up, hated him, and and his goal in high school was to break all his dad's records. His dad was an amazing wrestler and an amazing football player. He broke every single one of his records. He found his dad. He said, "Why did you?" And later on, he built back his relationship with his dad. Got his dad back in the church,
Mhm. Yeah.
and then Ray Lewis' dad didn't know his dad, so it was a cycle.
It's a cycle.
And he
Mhm.
goes, "All right, well, how do we break this cycle?" So he went up and found his grandfather with his dad, and they said, "What happened?" And the father was like, "It was, that's how it was back then." We talking about the 1960s. Like, he had kids all over.
Mhm.
Moving, moving from town to town, hustling from town to town.
Yeah.
You know, and Ray said like he goes, and this is one thing I live by, man. And when I see in the end of it never. He said, "Fathers never die.
Yeah.
His fathers never die. Father legacy always carries on. It's all about how you're gonna go and you know and leave your legacy.
Mhm.
You know.
And that's real. That's real. That's real. Because you got some guys who tell you, well, I only seen my father once or twice,
Hmm.
but I guarantee you, those one or two interactions, they'll always come up because they'll never forget whether they were good
Never
or bad.
forget them. Exactly.
They still remember those interactions. You know what I mean? You
Hmm.
know, that's why I say, you gotta always have something to pour in, man. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? You came up without him, you know what not to do. You came up with him,
Exactly.
you know,
And
you
that's
know.
and that right there is the biggest thing. Darshawn, you back. First of all, you freaky frog.
You say he did Tyrese on purpose.
Yeah. The frog is, and you know what? And then he got the goddamn frog playing the trumpet. Oh man, Darshawn is something else.
Yeah,
That was a
man.
great conversation, man. That was a good time. I need to have Darshawn on my show.
Yeah, you should. Man. I caught a little bit of you guys last night, man. What I could catch. Yeah,
Yo,
y'all.
man, Stick. When I tell you, I almost spit out my drink like 5 times.
Yeah,
I almost spit out my drink like 5 times because I was crying so hard.
yeah.
The part with Fred when he asked Darshawn, he goes, Darshawn, is it this side or is it this side? And Darshawn put his hand up like this. Man, I lost it. I lost it, man. That right there, man. That was some funny shit right there.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, man.
Look, this told. Look, he said we even had breakfast today. Oh, now, did you cook breakfast, Darshawn? Was you the one cooking breakfast?
Playing the radio.
Hey, listen, we went up and we was making bets on how long it was gonna last.
Yeah.
We was putting bets up. One guy said, don't worry. In about 3 weeks, Darshawn gonna come on here talking about stuff. Well, what happened was,
No. That's why I said he was
yeah,
big this morning.
Darshawn said he hung the jersey up. You know, Darshawn said he's in retirement now. You
Okay.
know, hmm it's
Yeah.
freaky stuff. Listen, listen, Darshawn. Frogs never die. You right now. Yeah, he's talking about he out the game.
Yeah, the game. Finna lock it down, man.
Listen, no one Darshawn. He right now he out the game because right now he's got an injury. He's got an injury right now. He'll be back in like 2 weeks. He got a sprained ankle right now.
Yeah, in rehab.
Uh huh. Uh huh. Yeah. But goddamn, Darshawn, you got here late, man. But stick, man, we went 2 hours, man.
For sure,
Yeah. So
man.
so
It was
so so we go. So we yeah, man. So we gotta do this again. You know we gotta do this again.
for sure. For
You
sure.
know. Yeah, man. But let everybody know all your socials where they can find you. Where they can find your channel and what you got coming out, man.
For sure, man. Hey, it's at Stick God Travels on all platforms. Go in, check it out, man. Of course, I got the Somali Pioneer just dropped today. The
Mm.
interview. Uh, got some more coming up this week. I got a few more in there. A couple of them that's hot right now. I know the Limitadas in the pipeline.
Yeah.
Uh,
You know what? Speaking of that, I gotta order some of those Lamper cigars.
damn, I wish you had told me something. I could have got you some out there.
Yeah, man. I got because it's a Sunday, right?
It's Saturday. It's Saturday before.
Saturday.
Yeah, it's coming
Okay.
Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
So
right. So
yeah.
I gotta try to find. I gotta try to order some quick and hopefully they get here before Saturday.
Uh, I'll shoot you a link. I know a place
Okay.
that got a pretty good stock. Not on the Limitadas though. They're out of
Nah,
here.
if I get my hands on that Ocean Breeze, I'll be alright.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Matter of fact, shit, what's today? Sunday. Shit, send me your address.
Okay.
Send me send me your address.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. That'll work.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Shoot.
Send me your info, man. Cause yeah, we got a week. We got enough time. We both on the East
Yeah.
Coast, so
Yeah. For sure.
man. But yeah, man,
Mm.
stick travels, you know what I mean, on all platforms, cigar reviews, you know what I mean, that's what we do.
Mhm.
Uh, probably kicking back up some brand owner interviews. I had some conversations with a couple people, so that'll probably come back up on the channel and
Mhm.
just waiting to lock in some dates really. And of course I got some travel stuff on there that's a little bit dated now, but it's still good. And that's gonna be coming back again, coming up in 26, man. I got some stuff on the agenda that I'm trying to knock out.
Hmm.
I definitely want to hit that Abano festival and a few more things, man. So, but yeah, man, if you're looking for good reviews and recommendations on cigars and stuff, man, yeah, hit the channel up, man, for sure.
Hit him up, man. It's good
Right,
stuff, man.
no doubt. And cigar vendors as well. Every Saturday,
You
man.
already know. Every Saturday we there, man. Every Saturday. And guys, you already know. You know the vibes already. Tell a friend. Tell a motherfucking friend.
So,
Until next time, guys. Thanks for everybody that tuned in. Listen, Big Guilty Cigar Podcast. We out of here.
so, peace.